Hello. So, welcome back on my YouTube channel. I'm just gonna talk about something that I used to have like more like a debate, but it was the inner debate rather than outside debate because I've never like debated with anyone else around this matter. Whereby when they say when you meet your soulmate, we come across them experience them as familiar, or maybe like your soul tribe they feel familiar, as well like they make it like people who are actually coming in your life as if they're not familiar. So it's more like I made a video, I'm gonna make a video about people who are a blessing and lesson, they all feel familiar. People who are actually a blessing in your life and lesson, they are all feel familiar. Whether it's a friend that you're gonna meet, which is coming, which gonna teach you a lesson, um, whether it's a lover, whoever that you're gonna meet, they all have something in common. They feel familiar. So when I say they all feel familiar, for example, people who are actually a blessing, they feel familiar within your soul. It's because they not came in your life to take. They don't come in your life to take. They don't come in your life to to deplete what you already created. They don't come in your life to take or to take away your growth in your life, or any kind of form that allow you to be your authentic self. It's because your soul recognize them. Your soul will recognize them before you even have awareness that your ego will sabotage it. That's why sometimes when you someone ended up they'll be like, for example, if you're so used to assholes, asshole friendship, assholes lovers, asshole family members, whatsoever, obvious when you come across new people you're gonna struggle. This is something that I'm actually struggling with right now. I am struggling to trust people. Like, it's something that I'm working on, but yeah, it's like, yeah. So like your soul will recognize your people while your ego will have a debate about it. So how do you know that you're actually like a plenty of people who actually self-sabotage? I'm not like, I am not far from people who actually sabotage relationship, because this is something that I mentioned that I'm actually working on my trust issues, trusting people, allowing people in my life. So obviously I'm struggling with that. As I said, people who are actually blessing, you also recognize it before your ego have to admit that these people are actually good for you, because obviously you're gonna have like, when you went through so much in your life, you tend to have struggling with trusting people, you tend to have struggling with allowing people in again, you tend to have a lot of issues that has to do with opening up your heart, because obviously some people, like for example, you think when you actually experience a painful a painful experience with people, you think the only thing that you need to do is close your heart, but but you only need to set boundaries with people in order for people to understand where you come from, what you want to, how you want to be treated, what the standard you set up for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're not always gonna like setting like blocking people out in your life. It's more like you are putting walls whereby nobody can reach you, whereby you, it's more like you're suffocating yourself, like it's self-suffocating. You, it's like you're building yourself in a manner whereby nobody can reach you, right? But I just want to have this example, but it's not like an example. I just want to say this in a way that I will feel satisfied to say it, but it keep on running away. So you're gonna like experience a lot of things in life, like a lot of things. So that's why whenever you're coming across people, like as I said, people who are blessing and blessing, they all feel familiar. People who are actually a lesson, they feel familiar, not with your soul. Your soul will reject them, but your ego will resonate with them. For example, if you have experience I'm gonna make example with John Depp. John Depp. John Depp, when you're looking at John Depp, like I don't know much about his relationship, but I do know that he had a very fucked up relationship with his mother. When I'm actually looking at the relationship that he had with Amber Rose, obvious he rejected the relationship. He so rejected his relationship, but because of the toxicity and how familiar the shit is, she why did I say she he actually because it's familiar. It's something that is familiar. He know that the relationship is toxic because it's familiar. It's something that he's struggling to let go, because eventually when you have to close certain cycle, sometimes you go through like a lot of things like him. Like when it comes to like females, I realize when it comes to like women, he has this issue. He tend to entertain people. I'm not saying all people that he dated were actually bad people, but I realized like when it comes to like Amber Rose, like I was like, fuck. I'm not saying like Amber, like I'm not saying John Depp was not toxic. He was, but I've realized the way the relationship was when I came across the clip whereby everything was happening in court, and I was like, oh wow. And I was looking at his background. I was like, oh, it makes sense. But it's not just John Depp. But I don't want to make example of with John Depp because I feel like I didn't like go deep, but it makes sense to use them because I've realized John Depp, like when it comes to women, so they feel familiar. Even the lessons one, they feel familiar. Those one that we have to learn something from them, they feel familiar. Because it's something that we experience at some point. So when you are, it's more like when you are actually been neglected, been rejected a lot by your parent, being someone in like probably a black sheep, you tend to gravitate to people who gonna reject you. You tend to gravitate to people who's gonna make you feel familiar with what you experience until you realize whatever you experience in your home, it was not love. Until you realize whatever that you went through, it was not love. Just because your mother was not there in your life, it doesn't mean you are supposed to continue with the pattern of entertaining people who actually give you that. When like they feel familiar, but it's a trauma. It's the same thing when you actually realize like, wow, this person actually remind you of someone, but the person that actually remind you of someone was not even healthy towards you, or he or she was not healthy at all to themselves, even because the fact that you have to be hating other people, that means you are actually hating, like you're hating within. There's no way as someone who's actually not healing, healthy to themselves, will go around trying to make other people feel awful about themselves. There's no way you can exploit other people, because people who are actually have a soul that is tortured, they tend to want to torture other people because it makes them feel better. It makes them feel like they're not alone in it. They don't like it when you are growing. It intimidates them. The fact that you are growing the version of yourself that is no longer. They try by all means to drag you down, to come back to me, come back. Why? How can you leave me here? Like they tend to like have issue. It's the same thing whereby you tell someone like probably they used to know you as someone who won't say no to drinks like alcohol. They know that you won't say no to alcohol. Like you just like a yes person when it comes to alcohol, but they don't want to believe the fact that you said I'm finally cutting off alcohol in my life. It's like they're trying to challenge you to go back. Like how? Because I remember like when I said to this girl, and it was 2019. I was like, nah, I'm so done with that life. And she was like, really? I was like, yeah. She thought I'm joking when I told her that. Eventually, she came back. When she came back, she came back as if I've like we never had this up, like we never had this kind of conservation with her. It acted like I've never said anything about me quitting alcohol, me quitting. I won't say that I was a club person because I wasn't. It was more like I prefer a gathering whereby I know people, probably like that friend probably will come with other people, and also like I've never like come with my people. It's more like I would ask, yeah, how many people are gonna be there? Be like, oh, 10 or 15. I'm like, okay, I'm in. I would never like go to the point that I've been in the environment whereby there are actually 30 people and about, like, it's not my vibe. I just prefer like not more than 20. So it was some of those like gathering whereby you probably were made like roommate, or maybe you both staying in the same residence. So it was, I used to meet people like that. So when I told her that I'm done with that life, I'm done with groupie like that, she felt offended. How can you feel offended when I'm saving you? I'm saving you, like I'm saving my time. I'm not taking anything from you. I'm not meeting up. I'm not gonna be talking to you. Like, I'm gonna talk to you just because you're drinking. It doesn't mean like I'm just gonna like act like you. Such just because I stopped drinking, like I'm gonna act like you stupid whatsoever. No, I'm just gonna have boundaries with you. Like, don't try to make me feel like I'm making a mistake for leaving alcohol. So she acted like I'm having she felt like, what? Are you actually living this life? Look, because both of us have like a mother issue. I didn't realize until one day we ended up talking, and I was like, fuck, I was actually trauma bonding with this woman all along. Like, we were trauma bonding because both of us will have issue, but we never addressed them until one day she came up and told me about a boyfriend, and then I ended up talking. I was like, fuck, we have a lot of because the thing is, we are energies. As we are energy, we tend to attract people who are actually having the same problem as us, because I've never, like, that girl, we're not friends. We are people who actually staying in the same residence, and we were people who were doing same cause. We are people who were actually doing same cause. Okay, we had like modules that were actually the same, but not every modules. Like, the two of them were not the same. Each semester, like, we're doing two actually the same. So we're like, it's like that when you are actually trauma bonding with people. As I said, that's why people actually feel familiar even if they're actually a lesson. It's because we're trauma bonding. That's why they feel familiar, because we're trauma bonding. But you can tell that there's actually nothing that is actually common. It's the same thing with those people. Like, for example, have you ever come across people actually hate you? Just don't feel like taking a call. Like, as I said, they feel familiar. People who actually a lesson, they feel familiar too, because why? We are energy. As we are energy, we tend to entertain same people who actually have the same thing that we might be going through, without even us realize, until you talk to someone and be like, wow, like, wow. So it's like that. This person is actually interrupting me. So trauma bonding itself, it's a familiar. That's why you don't have like, okay, I was making example about people who actually hate you. Have you ever noticed that people who only have one thing in common, and they hate this person, and then they go about talking about that person, like, for example, haters, until they realize, oh, I actually hate her too. You hate her too? I'm like, yeah. That's the only thing they're gonna talk about. There's nothing else. There's nothing promote evolving. Nothing else. It's just that. It's the same thing when you actually, like, you might be not a gossiper. For example, I was never a gossiper. Like, I've never like gossip. Like, it's not my thing. So I happen to entertain gossipers, which make me also a gossiper, because I was enabling gossipers to gossip instead of like, I don't think this is a conversation that I want to entertain. I don't think this is what I want to go about with my life. I choose to not to be part of it. Like, I had like a choice to make something like that. I had a choice to say something like, but I didn't. which made me a Enigula. It made me a gossiper too. Because what happened is I realized no, I need to stop doing this. Because I remember this friend that I actually cut off 2019, early 2019, I think it was June. She was like, she came up to me with a gossip, and I just look at her in the eyes, and she looked at me, and she knew that I'm gone. Like, do you know when you are gone, you're not even in, like, I was not interested even before, but I didn't have like a courage to be like, no, I don't want to deal with this shit. I don't want to gossip about people. It's just not it. I might not gossip, I might not know other people's business, but when I do, I usually something that spirit want me to know. Well, I've never like go around and like trying to find out what is happening to this person. Like, it's not my style. It's never be my style. But it happened that I happened to entertain people actually like that, because I was struggling to tell motherfuckers, nah, no, 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 no. So it's something that I've realized, like, you were like, I just look at her and was like, she knew. Like, do you know when someone can feel it that you're gone? That how it was. And I was like, and when I look at her in her eyes, I didn't say anything. She just knew that she had to cut the conservation. Like, she had to cut the conservation, because I realized we had nothing else beside that. We actually, because that friend, we were also like doing the same module, even the whole like subject. We were doing modules that are actually the same. We're doing the course that is actually the same. So it was like, I remember I was like, wow, I can't believe that I don't have friends. It's just like I had friends that I had to do course with, because I study Bachelor of Administration with major with human resource as well as public administration. I used to think that I would go to politics. Just to think about it, I used to think like I would do human resource. Like I don't know what I was thinking, Shem. I don't fucking know. So it's like that, where people who are actually blessing, they try to self-sabotage. Like, there's no way people can be authentic. There's no way people can be honest with me, because you're so used to toxicity. Like, it like you're so not used to people who actually have a genuine conversation with you. You're not so used to people who are actually honest with you. You're gonna self-sabotage. Like, to the point that I've come across like a girl of online. She actually asked her best friend to test whether the nigga is actually cheating. Is the cheat, because she's so used to cheating type. She's so used to doing all that. She's doing test. The fact that you're testing people, you're being manipulative. You need to help. That's why you need to sit your ass down and hate. Why do you need to test people? Why? Why do you need to do that? It's not healthy. You just need to sit your ass down and try to heal from that. That's why I'm saying people who are actually blessing and from like people who are actually a blessing and lesson, they feel familiar. Because why? You're gonna sabotage the real ones, because you're not so used to the real shit. You're not so used to genuine people. You're not so used to the. I remember my ex. Oh gosh, that one. Like, I feel like that ex, like, cause most of the time I make example about him. I don't know, like, one of those people who hate you the most, but at the same time you pity them, because you can feel it in let they're not so used to something like this. They're not so used to people who are honest with them. They're not so used to people who are actually genuine with them. They hate you. You'll be cursing them and shit, and you feel like when you're looking at them, you feel like their inner child like was not something that they pay attention to. They didn't give a fuck about their inner child. They didn't know who they are. They were lost, and like, it was like that. I remember, like, I was like, that guy was really in pain. You can feel it that he was in pain. Like, it was so much in pain, because like I remember he asked me like he used to ask me like question like it was more like, I, do people who are like you really exist? Like, do people actually genuine really exist? But he was not asking me like that. The way he was constantly testing. I was like, what the fuck? So I remember he even said like, no, I did talk to my uncle. He told me that I should not trust you. Blah blah blah. I was like, okay. I didn't argue. It used to trigger the shit out of me, because I didn't understand why I had to argue. I have to argue with him with by the fact that this is who I am. He was triggered by the fact that I was not explaining myself. Like, I'm not a person, like, even if I'm in love with you, there's something that I won't explain to you. because I don't feel like I need to just go about, because sometimes you could explain something to someone, you can tell that, I won't say like they won't hear you, but it's more like they won't hear you, but at the same time they are not willing to be open to the fact that people actually like this exist. Because the way he was, it was constantly testing the shit out of me, but I was not even playing those mind games, because he, like, I knew that it was psychological testing. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna fall for that. I'm not. I just like gave it like what? So he got triggered, like he, that nigga got triggered, like it was like okay. So that's why I'm saying it's the same thing. Like I used to say this, I'm actually working on stop saying this. Like I'm not so used to having good things happening for me. Like sometimes I feel like God is testing me, or whatsoever. I used to like, I still have that mindset, but I'm working on that because it's not working for me. It's no longer like something that I want to resonate with, whereby I'm saying I God is trigger is playing games with me. Of course sometimes he does play games with us, but I don't want to entertain that to the point that I ended up believing it for too long. It already too long. So I'm just finally like admitting the fact that I deserve the good shit. I deserve the push, because all the good things are already mine. I'm thinking of the song by Kehlani as Z. All things, all the good things, na, 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 are already mine. Na 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 na. Never mind my singing. So yeah, we all deserve the good shit. We all deserve to be loved. We all deserve to be loved unconditionally. We all deserve to experience the blessings, because some people actually blessing, some people actually blessing. We all deserve to experience all of that. We are not supposed to put ourselves in a position whereby we choose to control what is actually happening by not allowing us to experience what the universe choose to offer us.